Hari Om, Hari Om. Thank you very much for coming here today. And thanks, ladies, for driving here today. I guess we didn't have any men interested in the spice subject, but hopefully they feel the spice when you come back. And I thought the catchphrase of this talk is spice up your health. Because the spices, they help in so many different ways in helping with your overall health, because they focus on improving your digestion. And when your digestion is improved, then of course this improves all of your health. It's okay.
Yeah.
And we know in Ayurveda that when a digestion is poor, then we're accumulating toxins, we're accumulating congestion and mucus and blockage. Results in poor absorption of nutrients, malabsorption, which leads to, of course, nutritional deficiencies, fatigue. And this is all starting with poor digestion. So for all people who are patients who come to me, we're always improving the digestion first. People who have excess weight gain usually have weak digestion. People with gas and bloating have digestive problems. People with too much acidity and heartburn have a different type of digestive problem. So for all of these type of digestive ailments or imbalances, we could say, spices have been used for centuries to improve and balance out these conditions. So this is how they can affect your health across the board, by improving spices, and by improving your health by integrating them into your diet. I believe that in the societies, more Western societies like ours, where we're not using spices anymore, of course we used to, traditionally, we brought them from the Far East through the Silk Road, and from India to the Middle East, and then the Arabs carried them across the desert on camels and doubled and tripled the prices, and they sold them in the Mediterranean. And that's inspired the Portuguese to go around everybody and go direct to the source of spices, because they were so valuable and so expensive with all these middlemen in between. So the Portuguese, that was their main motivation, was to cut out all the middlemen and get to the source of these spices, because all through Western history, they knew that these spices were helping them with their digestion and helping them with their health. Unfortunately, we forgot all of that wisdom, and now we're down to salt and pepper, mostly with a little chili pepper sometimes. And and of course, we've ruined the salt by processing it and making it ionized salt and taking out all the minerals. So we're really down to kind of a poisonous sodium chloride, and probably low-quality black pepper and occasional chili pepper. And so this has impacted our digestive system for many of us. And when many of my patients and people who have gone to this class on spice start to use spices in their cooking, use spices in their teas, I find that their digestion improves. And with their digestion improving, their energy levels improve, their overall health improves. So we'll talk about specific spices, how they can be used even more therapeutically than just your digestion. I wanted to recommend one book here. It's called Healing with Spices. This is quite a nice book that covers, it's not really from the Ayurvedic perspective, but it does show you a lot of information about a wide range of spices. I think they have almost 100 in here, which they're including vanilla and wasabi and sage and even sesame seeds and parsley and oregano, star anise, and dried tomatoes. So it's quite extensive in covering a wide range of spices. So I'd recommend that book. It's good reading. But what we're going to start off with today is some of the carminative spices that help to improve our digestion. We can start with, let's see, it's passed around here. Here, we can try this one here. I don't know if we can see it. So you can see that little black corn we call it. What do you think that is? Huh? Yeah? It's a little hot. You want to take one? You try one? Oh, yeah, you have one right there. Go ahead. Take one of those. This is the black peppercorn. And this, you know it. Once you bite it, you feel it's very useful in all types of, it's a stimulant. It's an expectorant. It means it's breaking up congestion. It's a carminative, means helping with digestion. Alternative, which means it's helping with liver function. It's antifungal, antibacterial, and antispasmodic. And it's good for the blood, good for burning fat and dissolving fat, good for your nervous system and bone marrow. You know, it's traditionally means the one that's clearing. It's a lot. It's in a lot of respiratory formulas in Ayurveda. It's in a lot of digestive formulas. We have a lot of digestive tea right here, kapha digestive tea, and this is for when digestion is very weak. You have what's called a manda agni, or low digestive fire. It means you're not hungry. You have no appetite in the morning. You're not eating until 1, 2 o'clock. We give you this type of tea here. And it's, of course, has the main ingredients: ginger, cumin, cinnamon, fenugreek, cloves, and black pepper. So you can see the clove, the black pepper, the cinnamon. It's very hot, very spicy, and you have it in the morning, and it gets your appetite going, your digestion going, gets the digestive fires going. So it has that stimulating appetite, stimulate the appetite. And it also burns toxins, burns ama, clears away toxicity that you may have in the GI tract. And of course, there's always counterindications to every herb and every spice. It doesn't mean it's good for everybody. If you have any acidity, heartburns, or a history of ulcers, or of inflammatory colon condition, then you would want to be taking black pepper. But black pepper is also, it's called a channel opener. It opens up the channels. So when you have respiratory problems, you can breathe black pepper, like clove, and or like eucalyptus. They're also like openers, channel openers, opening up your respiratory system. And you know, if you have a little black pepper, you start coughing, sneezing. This is an expectorant, a decongestant, clearing you out. So even we have in lung teas, we're using black pepper. And a good home remedy for upper respiratory congestion and blockages, get black pepper, but very finely ground, because a lot of times it's not finely ground. You have to put it in a coffee grinder and make it like a powder. So it's just very smooth, like a powder dust. You know, even just inhaling it, you'll start sneezing, of course. And then mix it with honey, because you can't take the pepper straight because it burns the throat, as you could feel. It's a little burning. I probably should have given you a more mild spice to start, but I figured, hey, let's wake us up a little bit with the black pepper. It surely worked. You know, my eyes see a little watering here. And so that's it. That's its quality. It's opening up, getting things moving, getting your eyes tearing, your nose running. So you get honey and black pepper. And you take this 2 or 3 times during the day, and this will clear your respiratory congestion and clear blockage in your system. So black pepper, very nice herb. Who knows what this herb is, spice is here? Comes in the pod, right? And then inside you have the little seed, and it's very tasty, very sweet. Now cardamom is a sweet spice, and it's used sweet but a little hot. So it's used also in a lot of digestive formulas. I use it in this one called Pitta digestive tea. This is for people who maybe have a little heartburn, a little acidity, and have a kind of a strong appetite, but they're having some minor digestive problems at this time. So they need some mild stimulation to their digestive system. They can't do cloves, they can't do peppers. They're saying, no way I could do that. This will hurt and burn. I'll get more acidity. So we make a more mild tea. We mix a spearmint, fennel, which we're going to cover, coriander, cumin, cinnamon, and cardamom. So all of the spices are very mild carminative spices mixed in with a little spearmint, which is sweet and not as stimulating as peppermint. But then we put the cardamom as the kick, you know, that kind of stimulates the digestion. But so what they say about cardamom is it stimulates the digestion without increasing the pitta or the acidity or the heartburn. So it's for the person who's got a weak digestion, but at the same time, they cannot do spicy or strong foods. So we use cardamom. And cardamom is a mild carminative. It's also expectant. It's also a stomatic, which means it's helpful for stomach problems. It's good for cough, colds, bronchitis, asthma, hoarseness of the throat, indigestion, poor appetite, poor absorption, poor circulation, belching, flatulence, you know, tooth decay, and bad breath. So it's a very nice spice, just freshen your breath. And you can put it in tea. It's also kind of alkalining, we could say. So the Arabs, they make coffee, and they put cardamom in it, and this takes away the acidity, takes away the acid quality. So cardamom is just a wonderful spice that you could use. And of course, it promotes good breathing, and like many of these spices that are carminative and warming in nature, it helps respiratory system and digestive system mostly. So next we look at cinnamon, and of course there's many kinds of cinnamon. There's a sweet cinnamon. Oh, you want to try some cinnamon? There you have some cinnamon bark. Hand me a cinnamon bark there. Yeah, it's better for the cinnamon bark. I just got this from India. It's very nice, and this one is very sweet. And cinnamon is very good for your circulation. It's heating, and it's good for your blood, good for your muscles, good for your nerves. It's a circulatory, respiratory, digestive, and good for the urinary system. It helps. It's got mild, it's analgesic, which means it helps a little bit with pain, antispasmodic, astringent, expectorant, decongestant, and alternative. So it's quite useful for colds, fever, bronchitis, sinus infection, diarrhea, flatulence, wheezing, poor circulation, and cold in your feet, cold in the extremities. So those who have always cold hands and feet, well, that's a sign of poor circulation. So you put a couple cinnamon, like a teaspoon of cinnamon in your oatmeal in the morning, and you'll find that your feet will now become the same body temperature as the rest of the body, and even the body can warm up. I think about 1 teaspoon of cinnamon will raise your body temperature about a half a degree. So it's very nice in that cold morning with that oatmeal when you still have those Ugg boots on and you're all cold to have some cinnamon. And also it's very good for coughs and colds, and it's because it has antibacterial qualities to it. And I think the cinnamon is probably in all of the digestive teas that we have here, and including the Vata digestive tea, which is more for gas and bloating, and it's in there. So cinnamon is an all-around. It's like tridoshic. It's not too hot to bother those with acidity like pepper and clove would be, and so it's a very versatile. And of course, even for children, you can give them cinnamon tea. It's very tasty and very good for circulation. But we kind of, where's clove here? There's clove. Now clove, oh, you got some cloves now. Clove's now really hot. It's very pungent and heating. It's good for the muscles, nerves, reproductive system, of course, digestive, respiratory, nervous, and of course, circulatory. And clove oil is sometimes used for toothaches, but you have to be careful not to get it on your gums or you can damage your gums. So you want to put it in a little ghee or butter and then put it on the tooth. Is much more soothing. Or you can get a drop of clove oil, put it on some cotton ball, and put it right in the cavity area. Of course, also good for colds, cough, congestion, asthma, breathing problems, low blood pressure, hiccups, toothpaste. It can be used in a lot of toothpaste, cleaning the teeth, and even helps with vomiting. So, and we use it in, you don't want to use it if you have a high blood pressure type of situation. Most of these pungent herbs like clove, or even can increase the blood pressure. But you have a person who's cold, poor circulation, low blood pressure, clove, cinnamon, ginger, they're all going to warm up the person, improve the circulation, and slightly increase the blood pressure. So next we do coriander. We have some coriander. You want to try some coriander there? These little seeds. We have different ones. These are a little smaller than normal. Now, coriander is quite tasty. Now, it's very different than all the other more pungent spices that we were using earlier. It's a cooling quality. So this is good for the person with acidity and burning and heartburn and too strong of an appetite because it has a cooling effect. It's bitter, pungent, but bitter. But its initial taste is cooling, even though afterwards, if you eat enough of it, it's a slightly heating taste. It's good for the urinary tract and the digestive system. And it's very versatile. I mean, you can give it, again, to children. You can give it to all Vata, Pitta, Kapha types. And also used in flushing out the urinary tract. As we also use for allergies, burns, sunburns, urinary tract infections, nausea, vomiting, fever, hay fever. And we did one little home remedy that you could make on your own instead of the teas that I have here. Here is get coriander, cumin, and fennel. These three, mix them together, roast them in a cast iron pan with no oil until the coriander, which we just had, starts to become a little oily. You see the little shininess, and then take it out real fast, cool it down, then grind it up, and then make it into a tea and drink it every day. This is a very nice digestive tea. And if you're a little overweight or more kapha or you're colder, then you can add some ginger to it too. But coriander, cumin, and fennel, very nice. And coriander is very cooling. The leaves, of course, cilantro, are extremely cooling in the sense that if you have burning in the eyes, you take cilantro juice, put it in the eyes to take care of burning. If you have acidity and heartburn, then we have the people cook the food with a lot of cilantro. So its main properties is the cooling aspect. So very good for balancing the pitta dosha. And even the paste of the coriander leaves or cilantro can be made in a paste and be put on burns. Anything that's burning and hot or acidity, it's very good for burning. And cumin, one of the best of all carminative herbs, very tasty. And of course, we know all South American food and foods of other cultures are all prepared with cumin. And cumin is pungent and bitter, slightly cooling in the beginning and then pungent afterwards. It's good for the blood, good for the lymph, good for fat tissue. It's a digestive, circulatory, and also good for the urinary tract. We use it in a colic, chronic fever, fatigue, nausea, vomiting, hemorrhoids, hiccups, chronic diarrhea, hoarseness of the throat, and of course, loss of appetite, because they're all carminative herbs helping to stimulate appetite. But cumin is very important in cooking beans and legumes, because it helps to balance the gassy effect of the sulfur that's in these legumes. And so when we have South American food, Mexican food, then we find that it's always prepared with cumin. So cumin rice, say you get a little gas and bloating from cumin, you just put 1 teaspoon of rice, then you just put 1 teaspoon in your rice as a nice flavor, and it makes it easier to digest. And of course, when you're cooking your legumes and beans, you put the ghee down first on the bottom, and you put your mustard seeds in, so you know that it's cooked, because the mustard seeds will pop. And then you can put your cumin, coriander, even fenugreek in there, and slightly saute them in the ghee, and then add the legumes like the lentils or masoor dal or mung beans, urd dal, whatever dal you're using, and stir that up in the ghee with the spices. Then add the water, then add the turmeric, and then cook it. And this way, the legume gets the kind of sautéed in the ghee with the spices, and the taste is much nicer than how we often do it. Just throw it all in one pot, the rice, the water, the spices, and cook it. So that was a nice way. Always to saute the spices first, to bring out their qualities, because they're oil based. This is why we don't cook with. We don't take turmeric in a capsule. I didn't have turmeric out here to show you, but it's a spice. So turmeric needs to be prepared in your food. Turmeric capsules is somewhat of a joke, really, because you're just not taking it with any fat. You're best to take it with a milk. Cook it at night with a milk and warm it up, because the milk has fat. Don't do low-fat milk, or you miss the point. Or you can do it with with a ghee or butter. But it's best just to cook with it, because it's tasty. It's good for vata pitta kapha, helps with digestion, and it has many therapeutic benefits. For reducing inflammation, it helps in mild cases, but in fact, there's much better herbs to help really reduce pain. Inflammation would be better reduced with just using boswellia, which is a type of frankincense, much more effective than just a turmeric. But daily use, and if you don't have any arthritic pain, it's a perfect, and just mild inflammation in the muscles, it will help. because for you to really solve a serious inflammatory problem with turmeric, you'd have to have large amounts to make it effective. And there's so many other herbs that are more effective in reducing inflammation, like boswellia and many other analgesic herbs that actually help directly with pain. So turmeric is kind of, I think, overused in that area when because people are just kind of locked onto it now. But many good ways to cook with it. I mean, you can prepare almost every dish with some amount of turmeric, but particularly the beans and the legumes and the vegetable dishes, instead of using tomato sauces all the time, which is kind of more of a Southern European Mediterranean way, where, you know, we know that these tomatoes are from the nightshades and they can be inflammatory to some degree. We make Indians are making the sauces with the turmeric, so they're orange. So it's a very distinct difference between a tomato sauce and a turmeric-based sauce when you're having your vegetables. One's inflammatory with the tomatoes. We know that these increase inflammation, pain, and then turmeric is helping with inflammation and pain. So making just that switch right there from tomato sauces to turmeric sauce can help tremendously by reduce joint pain and inflammation. But once again, cumin is really one of the nicest herbs. Here's a fennel. We probably should have done fennel first. Here's fennel. I put some out for you. Slightly astringent, yeah. And now we'll do fennel, which is sweet. Here's some right here. You could try. It's very tasty. Now, a nice home remedy for fennel. Yeah, that's the coriander there. There's the fennel, yeah. We also have it growing in the backyard, fennel. We have cilantro also growing back there, but it didn't get big enough yet to when it bolts to the seed, then I'll have the coriander. But I'm eating the cilantro so fast, I don't know if it's ever going to make it to seed. It's so tasty, you know. It hardly makes it in the house, you know. I'm thinning out the cilantro, just eating it on the spot. And it's very nice in a hot weather, very cooling, like all leafy greens, you know, help by being cooling. But fennel is the most sweet and most cooling of all. And even though it's a carminative herb, it has a sweet taste and a cooling effect. It's good for the blood, the nerves, bone marrow. It's digestive, also good for the urinary tract, nervous system. We use it as a diuretic, stomachic, for the stomach discomforts, mild stimulant, antispasmodic. And the most common use is just to have it after the food. Like we talked about earlier, we were talking about these pungent spices like ginger, black pepper, clove, having them before the meal to kind of stimulate the appetite, stimulate the digestive enzymes, wash away the mucus from the stomach lining and allow the acidity to come out so the appetite is strong and you can eat and enjoy your meal and digest it properly and absorb the nutrients. Because whenever you eat and you're not hungry, you're not digesting properly, and this becomes kind of a toxic or ama in the body and creates congestion, blockage in the systems, and ultimately even weight gain. So one of the most common causes of weight gain is just poor appetite, because it's like they're cooking food in the oven every day, but they're never turning up the temperature. So you're better off to have these ginger and cardamom, clove and cinnamon and these pungent ones before the meal. It's like turning up the oven before you eat, so you can actually eat and digest the food. And this is very confusing for people, because people who are gaining weight continuously always say that I'm not even eating much, I'm not even hungry, and I'm gaining weight. Well, now you just gave me your answer. What your problem is? That is your problem. You're not hungry. That's why you're gaining weight. Once you're hungry and you have an appetite like the rest of us, then, you know, and you're hungry in the morning, then you'll eat in the morning, then you won't be hungry in the evening, then you won't be snacking at night. And you'll be more balanced. And even though you'll be able to, when your digestion's strong with these type of herbs, and then you'll actually be able to eat more and still gain weight, because the system's efficient. It's burning the food. It's digesting the food. So it's extracting the nutrients, because this cold system that has no appetite, no acidity, you know, doesn't digest very well. So that's a lot what these spices are doing. But in the case of fennel, it's the opposite. It's turning down the temperature. It's sweet. It's cooling. So you have it after the meal. So you have people, maybe you have a husband or something who's a really hungry husband, and he's like hungry all the time, even though you cook him a big meal, like 2 hours later, he's hungry again. Maybe he's a little angry and irritable about it. You give him some fennel after the meals. Give him a little bowl, just like these little bowls right here. Put it on the table, fill it up with fennel, and after he's done eating, let him eat some of it. And you can see when you go to Indian restaurant, when you go out the door, they put a little bowl of fennel seeds there. That's so you don't go out the door and you're still hungry, because it cools down the appetite. It kind of brings down the digestive fire because it's sweet. The hot and pungent is increasing the appetite by helping the body to excrete more stomach acids, stimulate your pancreas to produce more enzymes, etc. But fennel is sweet and soothing and kind of turning down the temperature. So we can see that in the Pitta tea. The Pitta tea says this is gently strengthens the digestion before meals and reduces the appetite after the meals. So people who say I'm really hungry, I'm hungry all day, I get burning, I get acidity if I don't eat. Well, they can drink this tea in between the meals, and this will help them to keep the appetite kind of under control. And so there's a lot of fennel in here. It's full of fennel and spearmint and coriander and these mild spices. It's very sweet, actually. Even children, they like this tea very much. It's a kind of a sweet. So sweet taste is bringing down the digestive fire. And so now I'm kind of showing you how they're used in practical application by making teas. This one here is called a Vata tea. It says improves digestion before, during, and after meals. This is mostly for people with gas, bloating, and weak digestion. Everything's giving them gas, they're getting a bloating all the time. And it's all made of carminative herbs. Cumin, licorice, ginger, fennel, cinnamon, and ajwain. Ajwain is a very special little herb, not used too much, kind of like our bonus herb today. And you can taste a little pinch of it. It's very good for gas and flatulence and digestive problems. And it's a little more spicy. Yeah, it's very tasty and very nice flavor. So that ajwain is a little heating and really helps with the gas and bloating. Between the ajwain and the cumin, it really takes care of gas and bloating. And you can cook with it, of course, as well. Very tasty. You can use ajwain in the same way as you can cumin.
Is it also for immunity?
That's really, I mean, that's really its key quality. From an herbalist point of view, if there's always something that does the job much better, then, we're not really going to use it for like we don't really use turmeric for pain because there's so many other good choices. Not to say that it doesn't, it's not anti-inflammatory, but it's not going to take away your rheumatoid arthritis pain. So another one we have here is fenugreek. Now, fenugreek's very unique. It's also pungent, heating. It's good for fat tissue, helps to burn fat. Good for bone marrow, reproductive system. It's also, again, a digestive, respiratory, good for urinary system, good for the reproductive system. It's a stimulant, demuculant, means it's a soothing. It's got to the body, expectorant, breaking down congestion, rejuvenative, diuretic, and a nutritive, and even aphrodisiac. So you get a lot out of some fenugreek, and it has mild blood sugar stabilizing effects. Again, there's so many better herbs to stabilize your blood sugar. I don't even think it's in my blood sugar formulas because, once you have a diabetic who has really high blood sugar, fenugreek by itself is just not going to do the job, just like turmeric isn't going to really take care of rheumatoid arthritis. But a good home remedy for fenugreek for a person who does have, who's overweight in particular and has blood sugar issues, is to get 1 teaspoon of fenugreek and pour boiling water on it, and then set it by your bed and let it sit all night, and then drink it first thing in the morning. So even though I have much better herbs that can help stabilize and bring down blood sugar and help the pancreas work better and the absorption of insulin work much better, still fenugreek's in there. Particularly this morning drink, first thing, it seems to be quite helpful. And then again, cooking with it. Then you can cook with a fenugreek. So that's a great home remedy. And it's in the kapha digestive formula, because the kapha this is for the overweight person, maybe with some blood sugar issues. Stimulates digestion before meal, helps overcome heaviness, and it helps with blood sugar. Just helps with blood sugar. Once you're got high numbers, then taking fenugreek is just not going to be enough. And it's ginger, cumin, cinnamon, fenugreek, cloves, and black pepper. So you can see why that fenugreek is in there. And it helps with the respiratory too, congestion, blockage. Now, we didn't really talk much about ginger, but ginger is going to be used right across the board. One of the kind of almost a cure-all in Chinese and Indian herbalism, because it's good for colds, flus, fever, indigestion, vomiting, parasites, candida, poor appetite, gas, arthritic pain, muscle cramps, menstrual cramps, high cholesterol, obesity, and even heart disease, and of course circulation. So it's quite versatile. It's called like a universal medicine. So if a child has a cold and their body temperature is cold, we'll give them ginger, and then you throw in some cinnamon for the antifungal, antimicrobial, antibacterial qualities, maybe a little cardamom and fennel to make it sweet and tasty for them. But you basically have that ginger and that cinnamon there, which makes very nice for a mild cold. And it's, of course, good for the circulatory system, respiratory system, digestive system, and really for all tissue. And a good home remedy to get your digestion going first thing in the morning is to take a slice of ginger, fresh ginger. Ground powdered ginger is hotter and heating, but fresh ginger is not quite as heating. So you can take a piece of fresh ginger, slice it off. This is for somebody with weak digestion. You can just chew on that ginger. You can have ginger tea. Home remedy is having ginger tea with the meals. If I don't have any of my herbs available and all I have is ginger, then ginger can be helpful in that sense. But if you really want to stimulate the appetite, then you take a slice of ginger, then you squeeze a little lemon on it, because lemon is sour, and sour also stimulates stomach acids, clears away the mucosa in the stomach, allows the acids to come out, gets the appetite going good. And then put a pinch of salt on it. So you got the slice of ginger with a couple drops of lemon with a pinch of salt. Then you put that in your mouth, chew on it, and you're hungry. And that's what you want. A hungry person is a healthy person. So it's very important to remember that this poor appetite is the first sign of poor health. If you've ever taken care of farm animals, I have a horse and chickens and ducks, and we have cats and dogs and kids, they're all really in the same category. If they're not hungry in the morning, you have a health problem. You have a digestive problem. And it's only the beginning of more problems. When that pet or that horse or that kid, he's waking up, he's hungry, he's eating his food, he's good. He's got the appetite, he's got the fire, he's got the digestion. And if not, then you want to check into the situation. It could be many health conditions can affect your appetite. But mostly we have the problem here in the West of we call affluent conditions, where we're just basically, we're living like kings and queens basically, and not moving much and sitting around on our butt and snacking and eating things and eating in the car and eating things. And this just basically is almost the worst for our digestive system, because the digestive system has to go in cycles. So you can never snack all day long. You can't be snacking. This will ruin your digestion, ruin your appetite, and you won't be hungry in the morning. Then you'll be more slow, and then you have malabsorption. Then you have cravings. Then you're munching out at night. Then you're gaining weight, and you do this for a few months and maybe a couple of years, and then you come to me. That's how I make a living, basically. And then I'll give you one of these teas and tell you to stop snacking on nuts, stop snacking on, even though nuts are healthy, they're the worst thing to snack on because they're ruining your appetite. And if you ever had children, if you've had children, you ladies have all had children? Everybody had children? Oh, yeah. Everybody else? So if you're cooking dinner and it's 6 o'clock and that dinner's not going to be ready till 7, and the child asks for some nuts and he eats them, he's not going to eat your dinner. You just ruined his appetite. But we're eating them all day long, driving down the car, eating nuts, ruining our appetite, and then we go home and we still eat. So this is creating blockage, congestion, and blockage in our systems. You know, we got respiratory system, urinary system, you know, colon system. There's many circulatory system, you know, a bladder, kidney system, gallbladder, liver system, you know, breathing system, mind system, and all of them start to get clogged when you start eating when you're not hungry. So you want to be hungry. Being hungry is healthy. And the best way to make yourself hungry is two steps. Very easy. Stop snacking on the nuts, crackers, cookies, and biscuits, protein bars, and juices, because juices are cold and snuff out your appetite. And second, add in spices. And within days, you're hungry. If you're not snacking on nuts all afternoon from lunch to dinner, that's 5-6 hours, and you're drinking ginger tea, cinnamon, ginger, coriander, cumin, maybe with a little lemon in it, believe me, you'll be hungry for dinner. And that's what you want. You want to be hungry. So, you know, it's a kind of a misunderstanding that we have, that we think, oh, I'm trying to lose weight, so I'm not hungry. But all these people who say they're not hungry, guess what? They're pigging out at night. They're the ones in the cupboards eating the crackers and the cookies, because finally, all day they had no appetite. And then finally at night, they can't take it any longer. So they have cravings, and then they're in the fridge, they're in the cupboard, and then they're snacking, then they fill up at night, then they go home, sleep with a heavy, half undigested food, which is just going to contribute to blocking more channels in the system, blocking the respiratory system, blocking the colon, you got constipation, blocking the kidneys, you have kidney stones. All this heavy eating of foods at night is all blocking, because you don't really have time to digest it. You're going to sleep on it. Then in the morning, of course, you're not hungry, because you never digested last night's food because you were eating crackers and ice cream at midnight. And now you don't eat all day long because you can't. You've got no appetite because you're so clogged up from the night before. Then, you know, then the appetite kicks in 3 or 4 o'clock and you become ravenous. And then at night it's still going. So that's why it's very important to get yourself hungry in the morning. And that's why I gave you a few home remedies to do just that. It's just chew on ginger tea. If you and we've got 3 different spices here. Here too we have seasoning, cook with seasoning. This will help your digestion. I have kapha seasoning, and you can see it's got turmeric, coriander, cumin, ginger, black pepper, mustard seeds, cinnamon, a little cayenne, and Himalayan salt. Just cooking with this all the time will help the digestion, help you to digest the food. And the vata one is more for gas and bloating, and it doesn't have the black pepper, it doesn't have the clove in it. Coriander, fennel, cumin, more cumin, little mint. Oh no, this is the pitta one. This is the cooling one. This is for people who can't do spices. This is very anti-inflammatory. It's got a lot of fennel in it, coriander. It's very sweet. Children like it. People with acidity and heartburn, it actually makes it better instead of worse. So the same spice isn't always suitable for everyone. I mean, you have to adjust it. Many people, when you talk about spice, if they're pitta prakriti, that means they have strong appetite, tend to have a little acidity, heartburn, a little irritable, red complexion. They a lot of times say, no, I don't like any spice, no spice, no spice. But as soon as I give them this, I say, try this one. They go, well, that's tasty because of the fennel, it's sweet. The coriander, it's cooling. There's no black pepper, no clove in it, mustard seeds, nothing hot. It's very gentle. And that will actually help with the acidity, help with the burning, help with inflammation. Even intestinal inflammation in the colon, this helps tremendously, that type of spice. Oh, another one I didn't mention was nutmeg. I think right there we have a big nutmeg. Can you hand me that big nutmeg? There we go. There we go. That's a nutmeg right there. And a nutmeg is a mild sedative. It's also pungent. Good for the muscles, good for the bone marrow, good for the nerves, reproductive system. It's astringent, analgesic for pain. It's a mild sedative, a stimulant. So you can see that nutmeg is sometimes in sleeping formulas, sleeping tonics. I used to have it years ago in my sleeping formula, but I took it out because it was creating like some too many dreams for people. And it's known to help improve dreams and help with dreams. So I took it out of my formula, but it is a mild sedative. So you can have nutmeg milk at night. It's a nice way to relax. If you have a little inflammation, you can have turmeric milk. If you want to sleep a little better, you can have nutmeg milk with honey. It's very nice. And of course, when I speak of milk, I'm not speaking about this junk in the stores. I'm talking about stuff straight from the cow, raw milk. Because, you know, milk, of course, is very misunderstood now. Everybody's like become anti-dairy. But it's really our dairy agricultural system. What do we say? It's the whole dairy processing. Yeah, exactly. It's a problem. The homogenization, the pasteurization, and then the adding of hormones into the food for the cows. They're not being grass-fed. They're being fed the wrong foods. They're being caged up in an unnatural environment. They're not grass-fed. And then they even add synthetic vitamins to the whole thing at the end. So by the time you get your milk in the store, I would say that's fairly poisonous. And this is why we have a lot of digestive problems with milk. But most people who have digestive problems with milk, if they buy raw milk from the health food store and they warm it up, then they tend not to have any problems with it. Particularly when you put a little spice in it, put a little cinnamon in it, put a little cardamom in it, then it helps you digest it. Because you have to remember, these spices are to help you to digest food. So if you're having trouble digesting milk, then you put cardamom in it, cinnamon in it, and now you're helping your body to digest it. A lot of herbs that I give people that are heavy for nurturative herbs, you know, like shatavari and ashwagandha, vidarikandra. These are for like building the reproductive system, even putting on more weight, building more muscle. Well, they're heavy herbs. They're like kind of like milk powder. And if you just have them straight, you feel like, oh my God, that was too heavy. I can't have your herb. It feels too heavy. I feel like I'm having trouble digesting it. I'm getting some burping. So I never give ashwagandha, for example, straight by itself. You mix it with some cinnamon, mix it with a little ginger, put a little fennel in there, and that helps the person even digest the herbs. Or I have people to take the herb with the tea. So the tea is helping you digest the herb. And people who are dry, have dry skin, dry mouth, dry colon, dry stools, you know, you're dry, you're dehydrated, your skin is dry. So you can not only be drinking tea and sipping warm tea all day long, even with the meals, you can be sipping water. Generally, we don't want to have water with the meals, but if your GI tract is dry, your mouth is dry, you don't have good saliva in your mouth because it's dry and your tongue's sticking on it, the roof of your mouth, then you need to sip some tea with the meal to help you digest it, to have some liquid. And you know, this is again the peppermint, ginger, cumin, coriander, licorice, fennel, cardamom. It's kind of this same little mix of carminative spices, just prepared in different ways to help you digest it. Well, many people have had gas and bloating their entire life, and then one little $10 bag of tea they're sipping with every single meal, and finally they find out that helps tremendously. So that's the power of these spices, is they can improve your digestion very quickly. The next meal, right? If you're just, even tonight, if you're having digestive problems and your digestion is weak, then, you know, by having ginger tea right before the meal, or even sipping a little ginger right during the meal, you'll find you can eat and feel better afterwards. You don't feel like taking a nap, and you're not heavy and sluggish. If you feel tired after the meal, you have weak digestion. If you're not hungry in the morning, you have weak digestion. If you've got gas and bloating, you've got a digestive problem. It's kind of like the car mechanic, you know, he's looking at the car driving down the road, seeing all the smoke and coming out the back, and he knows the engine's not running well. Well, if you got smoke coming out of you, you know, burping and farting and swelling up, you know, then the engine isn't running good. And that's the time to get in those carminative spices, which we talked about today. Even just ginger tea is good. Cumin, coriander, fennel tea is good. Just so it's fine. Solve a lot of your problems. Just chewing on a little ginger between the meal. Just cooking with cumin. Just putting more turmeric, coriander, cumin in your sauces instead of tomatoes. Just that. Plus, you can't do the snacking. You can't be snacking on crackers and cookies and biscuits and nuts all day, because that will ruin it too. So basically, if you get rid of the snacking, add in these spices into your diet, you will find your digestion will get better very quickly. Just a matter of days. Just really the next meal. And then within days, you'll feel better because your engine's running better. And of course, you will smell better too. You won't. And you know, sometimes we misinterpret this bloating. We think it's fat, but this is just blockage, poor digestion, bloating, constipation, all related to digestion. So limiting your food, restricting your food, depriving yourself isn't going to solve your problems. And this is a big mistake that we're making here in the West right now, particularly in California. Instead of fixing the digestive problem, we actually just eliminate what we can't digest. Now you got to think about that. Okay, you're having digestive problems. You have milk, it bothers you. So we eliminate it. Now you can't even eat a piece of bread. It's feeling heavy. So you eliminate that. Now you're having trouble with all grains. Say just eliminate all of those. What are you down to here? See the problem? So nobody's ever fixing the problem. They're just eliminating foods is not a cure unless you're allergic to it. But most people aren't allergic to dairy. Most people aren't really allergic to wheat. They just can't digest it. I mean, I'm doing every single day. I'm saying, okay, have this, change these eating habits, stop snacking, stop eating at night. Don't mix fruit and things with your meal. Don't have crackers, cookies, biscuits, nuts, and protein bars and cold smoothies in between the meal to snuff out your appetite. Have teas and in between. And next thing you know, they're so hungry, they're saying, I'm basically eating everything. I mean, for years I couldn't even eat bread, and now I'm just even eating bread right out of the store. I mean, I can eat it. I'm eating pieces of pizza and not having any problems. So not to say that, you know, white bread and melted cheese and pizza is a healthy thing, but if you're hungry and your digestive system's strong, you should be able to digest it. It may not be very nutritious, but you want to be able to digest a piece of bread, or you've got a little problem. I mean, if you can't eat a piece of bread without digestive problems, then you can conclude you have digestive problems. We don't want to just always blame the bread. I think what do you call that in psychology? Externalism, where we just blame everything else. And that's what we do. Yeah, you know, instead of looking at yourself, looking at your bad habits of snacking, eating nuts, not eating on a regular time, not even having regular meals, eating late at night, these are the real causes. But instead of, you know, looking at ourselves, we blame the bread. And then we say, all gluten's bad. All grains are bad. And then, of course, you'll have other health problems. Because if you leave out all the grains, you know, you're going to have maybe low in B vitamins. You're going to have more anxiety, more nervousness. And, you know, the grains are building. They're building the muscles. They're building tissue. And they have the B vitamins helping the nervous system. So you try to eliminate a whole category like grains. In a matter of time, you're just going to have nutritional problems. And you still never fix the original problem, which was digestion, which you could have done it with a piece of ginger. Same for dairy. And people say, oh, I can't have any dairy. I go, here, have a piece of butter. Have some butter. Does that kill you? No, I like it. It's okay. So butter's dairy. So sometimes we mix it up. You know, we get these general, maybe they can't digest milk. Milk is much harder to digest. If you're a Vata type of person, we don't give you milk anyway. Ayurveda knows it's hard to digest. So you just do yogurt water. A little yogurt, little water, put a little cardamom in it, little cinnamon in it, and you can drink it just fine. Yogurt is not, butter is not milk. So it's never, you should say, oh, I can't have any dairy. Milk is very hard to digest, particularly this homogenized milk that we have. But if you get raw milk and you warm it up, you know, most people can have it, particularly at night. It's very relaxing and very good for children. So one more spice, the king here, saffron. Saffron is considered the most expensive of all spices. And this saffron I have, it came from Morocco, where I went, where I actually saw the saffron farmers. We were just doing a tour in southern Morocco over the Atlas Mountains next to the Algerian border. This is what I'm doing when I'm gone. And we were doing like a desert safari, and the driver said, oh, you're very lucky. Now is the saffron harvesting time. And it's a beautiful plant with this beautiful purple flower. And it's got these red little, I forget what they're called, stein or stains. There's a stamen, that's it. They come up, and that's what's, and they have to hand pick them off, and they only have like a week to do it. and the whole family's out there. And then we saw him out. The whole family was harvesting them, and we went up and we saw him, and we met the farmer, and he was giving us fresh saffron, and so we obviously bought a good stock of it. I'm still having it, and it's we use it mostly for depression, actually, saffron, and it can be used for many health conditions, and it's good for pitta, but mostly we use it for mood, helping with mood and depression in particular. So you really want to have spices in your life. You want to spice up your life, which will spice up your health, which will improve your digestion. It's really the first step. So if you're thinking of doing an appointment with me, you can skip the first appointment and just improve your digestion first with these spices, because I'm using them every single day. And people are always very surprised on how quickly they feel better after having spices with their food. So I hope that helped you to be more motivated to cook with spices and to use spices in a daily life, cooking with them, making teas with them, and helping to improve your digestion. Thank you very much.
Thank you.